for example, the ISM inflation numbers just came out a couple of days ago. And actually, what they are signaling is the inflationary pressure is still very high, but it's actually already off the top a bit. So I wouldn't read too much into that. As a matter of fact, to also answer your question there, we were probably a bit less hawkish than the Fed is. So we expect the first rate hike in September, and then sort of every other quarter that would probably be just a decent pace and enough of a hiking path in our view.
Okay, let's talk about strategy then around that. How do you trade around the volatility and the wide gamut then of expectations that are out there?
So looking a bit through this trees into the forest, for year end, we see for the S&P about 8% upside. So that's of course not much compared to the last 2 years, but nonetheless very realistic, I think, assessment in such situations and markets calming down. But within that, we certainly have two overweights on cyclical sectors. So energy and financials, they both should benefit from this environment that we're currently seeing. And then also, as of the middle of the year, when growth probably goes back a bit more to normal also in the US, then we have sort of added on a healthcare overweight, so a little bit more defensive. So you can see where we have certainly a value tilt, you could say. But then we also round this out with hedge funds, other asset classes, alternative yields, for example, as well. So unconventional yields, as we call it. So if you have a rounded out portfolio like this, you should be able to weather those sort of turbulences.
Right. When it comes to geographies, I also note that you like the Eurozone and Japan as well. Specifically, when it comes to those two geographies, why? And do you follow the same strategic guidelines there that you're outlining when it comes to things like healthcare, specifically in those markets?
Well, certainly, when I say we have a value tilt, certainly both Japan and also the Eurozone equities, they have that value tilt that the US doesn't have as much. So that's certainly an advantage. Then also both central banks arguably not nearly as aggressive, not nearly as hawkish as the US central bank turns out to be. And then they have both like these markets. So I think if the first few days of this year are any guidepost for us, certainly on the European market, and we could see more of that. We could see those two markets actually outpacing the US for a while.